Hello everyone, this is Anne from Odulcina Scrap. Today I want to create some snippets. I am using my fabric, which is the dresses, for this project, but you can buy the digital. It's from the dressing room kit, digital kit, and you can do the same project but print it on paper instead of fabric, or you can print yourself on fabric. The only difference with my fabric is that it is printed industrially, so you can put it in your washing machine, in your drawer, use them for quilting, sewing projects, and everything. Because when you print with your printer, the ink is not doesn't like water, let's say. So you need to be careful with which glue you use so you don't make the ink leak. And unless you print with laser jet, but I don't know. LaserJet printers are so expensive that I'm not sure if I would risk printing on fabric with a LaserJet printer. Anyway, this my fabric is totally waterproof. It's real fabric, real heavy cotton, fully printed by a company that makes fabric. So, but you can buy the digital. And as you can see, I'm just layering some herbal tea bag that I reuse and just scrap pieces of laces that it's in my big box and piling on. So I'm like, it's about time that I do something with it. And I just love create little snippets like that because I don't have to overthink the process. I can just take the first bit of lace that I grab, and most of the time it just fit. So, of course, in the video, I've cut the parts where I was digging through my stuff, but literally it didn't take that long. This is my fancy yarns. So, these are mix of yarns that I buy in bundle and I mix them together. So it's my exclusivity because I create those mix. I buy a thread that has little bows in it and another one that has another kind of details, and I mix them together to create some colors and some mixes. So I have different bundles, but this specific one, which is more white and a light yellow, is part of my neutral bundle. Um, and then I I love to use the polka dot tool. When you do a bow like that, you should almost 100% of the time put some tulle or cheesecloth behind to give it some dimension, to sit the bow on something else than just a flat paper or a flat fabric. So for this cluster, I only use the glue, but in the next cluster, I'm going to use my sewing machine. So you can see the bow with the fancy yarns, all the details of the yarns. I'm just in love with that. And the print on the fabric, it's just perfect. So this is another fabric. This one is part of the labels fabric. And I have the digital kit for that as well, which is the antique labels. I'm going to put all the links in the description below. The fabric that I have is a real 100% cotton, so you can tear it on every sides and it tears very well, as you can see. I did some sewing there instead of gluing, and then I'm gonna glue all the laces and everything around the fabric. So again, I've used an herbal tea bag that I used for my herbal tea, and I let it dry, and then I emptied the bag, threw away the herbs, and I just kept the bag. So some bags are more white than others, so depending on my project and depending on the herbal tea brand or kind, sometimes I have different colors of bags So depending on what I want to do. In this case, I wanted a pretty pale color. And now I just reuse a part of lace that was too large, so I've cut into two. And I'm gonna glue it at the back too, so it doesn't hide everything. This is the frizz cotton. I love working with that, all the frizzy cotton. And I have some bundles of sari silk and chiffon silk that contains that frizz there. And if I'm running out of them, like if they are sold out, it's just a matter of time that I bring them back in another bundle. So I should almost always have some in stock in my shop, unless they stop producing them at some point. They actually come from Canada, and I have one provider from Canada and one provider from India, directly from India, which is the sari silk and chiffon silk kind of place, right? So this is just using a part of lace, and just by gluing a little part of it, I'm going to be able to fold it to add some dimension and just make sure that the size fits what I want. So this is why you see me gluing little parts and then placing my laces or fabric again, adding more glue, and just gluing sections by sections. I have some cute buttons. I'm not sure if they are mother pearls button. I would think so, but I'm not really an expert in that. So, and I took them in a thrift store, so I don't know. Among many other buttons that were not as cute, added a thread and they look really great. This is another fancy yarns that I have. You can see the little tulle there, which is my favorite. And then the little bows in pink, and I just love playing with fancy yarns. Before I started, before I discovered the fancy yarns, which was a pure lock on my side, I was using a lot of chiffon silk and sari silk, and I loved it and I still love it, but it's always so bulky for where I do the bow compared to using fancy yarns. That since a while now, I tend to only use the fancy yarns, and it's not because I don't want to use the chiffon silk or sari silk. It's really because it is really less bulky, and when you add the snippet to a junk journal page, well, that counts. It matters if it's double the size, right? So I love the fancy yarns because of that. It is so thin once it's glued compared to the knot that the chiffon silk or sari silk does. This is a third example. These gorgeous flowers are part of the fabric vintage pictures. And I'm sorry for that one, I don't have a digital kit yet that matches that fabric. I was just trying to add more choices with the fabric, so I ended up picking those pictures, but they're not part of any digital kits yet. They are gorgeous pictures. It's kind of a little collection of vintage roses pictures that are, of course, so old that there's no copyrights anymore. And here, the little ruler there that I'm using, it's part of my fabric. All, all of my fabric that is not a continuous repeat pattern like polka dots or the tiny flowers or the flowers patterns, you know, that you can have meters long and there's no end to the pattern. Those do not have the ruler, but everything else that is made to create little cluster like that or embroideries, they have a ruler of 50 centimeters, and it's the real centimeters. And this is how I can easily figure out where I should tear my fabric when I receive it from the manufacturer. And I just thought it was a great decoration that we can use in our junk journals or decorations or even sewing projects. And it's along the side, so the side was not sure enough that it would print correctly the pattern or the picture, so I didn't take any risk. And in my design I added the ruler just to make sure that I do not scrap real pictures or real designs on the fabrics. It doesn't matter when it's a repeat pattern because it's a repeat pattern, but if you have that flower and it's missing a third of the flower, it's totally scrap, right? So that's why I've added the ruler there, but it's kind of really useful for projects too. And as you can see, I added the fancy yarns, not with a bow or anything, just I glued it as a line of kind of if it's a lace. And it adds some details and it's so like tiny details, right? So I love that for that. Again, the polka dot tool, it's a must for me. And I'm gluing the lace just section by section so I can add, I inserted the polka dots there and I can place the polka dots and place the lace to make sure it glues perfectly. And as you can see, it looks really great. And I'll just add one final detail, which is adding little beads. I could have sewn them, but I was too lazy. And honestly, because I glued with the hot glue behind, sometimes it's hard to do some sewing through the hot glue that is all dry. So maybe the easiest in this case was to just glue them and nobody see any difference anyway. So here it is. I hope it inspired some of you to create easy and fast little clusters like that. I want to do more on camera, but for now I'm gonna stop today and I'll see you in another video, but I want to do more of those. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.